I know how to work it now. Hello? Okay. Okay. I wish you, every week I have to tell you to fill those empty seats. One day you'll come and it'll be my birthday, and I'll say, next week is my birthday, fill the empty seats, that'll be my present, okay? But it's not my birthday till September, so you can sit wherever you want. How's that? And I'd love it if we wouldn't take the upper balcony up and come down, join us, be friendly. Okay? You might rather do that, but you're a guest, so it would be polite if you came down and joined us. And I know you're well brought up, I can tell. Come down and be friendly. Come here, come sit near us. We'd like to see you. You're an FIT girl, aren't you? All right, so you're welcome. Okay. All right, I wanted to make a little talk about the assignment I gave you. I gave you an assignment of 15 to research and to get the facts of the lives of Katie Murphy, Claire McCardle, Rudy Gernreich, etc., etc., etc. So these 15 American fashion greats that contributed their talent and gifts to our fashion world and are recognized globally. And the reason I had at first I would have been embarrassed to give fashion students. I thought everybody in fashion, especially fashion students, would know who these American greats are. But one day, Stan Herman, who at that time was the president of the CFDA, one of our greats, like the Oscars. How many of you know what the CFDA is? Raise your hand. I'm glad. You should look into that if you don't. The Council of Fashion Designers of America. The president currently is Diane von Furstenberg, but at that time it was Stan Herman, and he was talking about American fashion, and he mentioned Claire McCardle and how she was the first to do the wrap dress even before Diane von Furstenberg. And everyone, he was talking about how great she is, and he mentioned besides Claire, Anne Fogarty with the big bouffant tight way. And all of a sudden, he realized he wasn't registering any excitement. And he said, how many of you know the designers I'm talking about? Raised your hand. Not one hand went up in this amphitheater. And that's why I thought that if we have these people who are famous in fashion, that I wanted FIT students to be knowledgeable about everything that has to do with fashion. That's why you're giving me these reports. You will get them back. And I also wanted to tell you that the reason you're supposed to do this research and bring in the 15 just short paragraphs, the essentials of what they did. That's all I want. Facts. You don't make it up. You get it authentically. And the reason is that you are going to have a final exam, one final exam, 20 multiple choice questions, and some of these names will be part of it. I will be putting in some of them. So you might as well read them, be knowledgeable, so you'll get a good grade on your final exam. This will be also in some of the 20 questions, multiple choice. I thought that was important to tell you ahead of time. So, and I will give back, when we enter, you will get credit for doing this assignment. And when we're finished entering, we're still entering the papers that have come in, I will make an announcement from the podium here that you can come and pick them up. And you should keep them, and keep them in a folder so you can always refer to them, okay? Especially for your final exam. All right, enough about school and about our class. I'm excited because I have here one of the great, great talents that came out of this school, FIT, and you've seen the posters, the handsome young man, Hilton Hollis. And he only graduated from here a few years ago, and he already is the CEO and president, designer of his company. He was just telling me how they are in Neiman Marcus, and Bergdorf Goodman loved the collection, and he will tell you more about it. But just to give you a little background about Hilton, he's, as you know, I told you, he's a graduate of FIT with a degree in fashion design, a native of Natchez, Mississippi. You know, I'm in love with the South. So his love of fashion was inspired by his grandmother, and as a student, he worked for Dana Buckman and John Bartlett, who recognized his great talent. After graduation, he again worked for both designers. He interned probably before, I think. His dream of opening his own company came true. It was a result of his passion for perfection, which makes him a presence in our fashion world today. Just over 3 years ago, this dream of launching his own company was born, and he will tell you more about it because it's exciting and interesting. And his line has a contemporary feel, updated classic fit, technical virtuosity that are hallmarks of Hilton Hollis. It's flawless tailoring, luxurious imported fabrics. And Hollis brings a matching passion for the business side of the industry, and I said he should tell you about it because he says it's not enough just to imagine beautiful clothes, and he'll tell you more about it. And what he does is produce the right garment for the right customer at the right price, and he'll explain that to you. He is committed to his love, which is carried out in the finest, oh yes, he is in the, it's my scribble, that's why I'm hesitating here. In the 80 of the finest, maybe more today, specialty stores in the USA and Canada. He's really clamored for and has a great reputation, a refined reputation, and that's enough from me. I want my friend Hilton to come up here and take me away. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for coming in today. Crazy microphone there. That's okay. I'll just raise it up a little bit. So just to give you a little bit of background about how I got started as a designer here in New York, I actually grew up on a 250-acre farm in the middle of nowhere in Mississippi, so very, very far removed from the fashion industry of New York. And it was just basically a dream of mine since I was a very small child growing up there. When I was 8 years old, my grandmother gave me a needle and thread and taught me how to sew. And when all the other boys were outside playing baseball and football, I was inside sewing with my grandmother. So I wasn't very popular with the other kids, but I did what I loved, and here I am today doing what I love even more. I came to New York in 1997. I got accepted into FIT and was very excited from the very beginning. I had applied to a lot of different schools around the country, and FIT was my first choice because I think FIT offers you something that a lot of schools don't offer you, and that's a real business kind of side to the industry and also a technical side to the industry. You know, a lot of people say, well, FIT, you know, it's not as artsy as some of the other schools, and I totally disagree because I think as a designer, you either have it or you don't. And I think that is true of not only designers, but also people in marketing and people in business in the fashion industry. You either have a passion for it or you don't. And that passion is what you have to take out every single day when you hit the streets of New York. And you have to have a love for it and never let that love die. One of the worst things that you can do in this industry is start to second guess yourself and not believe in who you are as a person and as a designer. Many times you're going to get the door slammed in your face time and time again. Believe it, I've been through it a million times. You're going to have people that you highly respect in the industry tell you that your work is not good enough or your work isn't what they're looking for. But those are the kind of situations that you have to put at the top of your list and say, why is it that I'm such an amazing designer, and what do I have to offer the industry that no one else is offering? And that's really what comes from within you. You know, you as a designer and you as a person who's into marketing and advertising and business, you know what your passion is, and you know what makes you special and what you can offer to the industry that not one other person can offer. So I just implore you to really dig deep into yourself and figure out what it is that you want to be passionate about and that you are passionate about and what you're going to stand for in the industry. In '97, like I said, I moved to New York. I came to FIT. From the very beginning, I was very involved at FIT. I think I came in with the mindset that, yeah, the fashion industry is all pretty, and yeah, it's all about sketching pretty clothes and making, you know, people happy with your clothes. But you know what? It's also about a lot of hard work and dedication. And when I say hard work and dedication, I'm not only talking about within your schoolwork, but also on the outside. Every single one of you should be interning right now. Every single one of you should be going above and beyond what your teachers expect of you. And the only way you're going to make it in this industry is to buckle down and really apply yourself to every single aspect of the industry. You know, if you're a designer, I really want and advise you to take as many other classes that are not pertaining specifically to designing that you can. Take a marketing class, take an advertising class, take a manufacturing class. Those of you in advertising or in marketing or in merchandising, take a fashion design class, take a life drawing class. You never know where this industry is going to lead you, because believe me, I've had time and time again, job after job, where you might start doing one thing, but before you know it, you're doing a million other things. And especially working for young designers like myself, I have all of my interns, all of my junior level designers, they all do a little bit of everything. They focus on sales, they focus on showroom experience, we focus on going out and experiencing the world around us through, you know, trips to Bergdorf Goodman's, to Saks, we go to Westchester to Neiman Marcus. These are all trips that you guys should be taking like at least once every 2 weeks. Go to all these stores. I mean, the resources here in New York are unbelievable. Go to the New York Public Library. Research different designers. Like Alice was saying earlier, there's so many designers out there that I bet a million of you, or, you know, millions of designers out there that you don't even know about. And, you know, without knowing about these people, how are you going to be the best designer that you can be, or the best merchandiser or marketer that you can be, without knowing the history of fashion and without really understanding where we were, you know, 50 years ago and how those people have influenced fashion throughout the test of time? You know, one of my favorite designers was Charles James. How many of you know who Charles James is? That's impressive, because I'm surprised. There you go. So, you know, all these things that you guys learn on a daily basis, you will have a purpose for knowing them. Even when I was here, I used to think, wow, like, why am I learning the princess kimono sleeve with a gusset? Well, I hate that sleeve. I'm never going to use it. Trust me, what comes around goes around. Fashion is an ever-changing historical you know, ideas that change every single season. And if you look at fashion and you look at the way fashion has evolved, there's always a trace back to a historical part of fashion that you can trace it back to. So really, you should be researching as much as you can. In 1999, I graduated from FIT. My last year, I was externing with Calvin Klein. Tim Gardner was our critic that year, and we were working with Calvin Klein as the company, and it was just a great experience. It really kind of put me into the idea of a high-end designer and of what I wanted to do with my career. After I graduated, I actually applied to just about every designer out there. I mean, I sent my resume to Valentino, I sent it to Terry Mugler in Paris, and you know, at the time, I said to myself, well, what do I have to offer that someone else doesn't have to offer, and why would they choose me over anyone else? And that's just it. If you believe in yourself enough, then I really ask that you send your resume to every single designer that you ever thought you might want to work for. I mean, if they seem like they're too advanced and too of a high level for you, forget that idea. You know, don't let that affect you. Because let me tell you, I have had so many experiences where, you know, I might not have gotten a job with a certain designer when I applied for it, but I can walk on the street today, and if I see Oscar De La Renta, I can go up to him and I can say, "Hi, how are you?" You know, because I interviewed with him 5 times. And, you know, those are the kind of experiences that you just can't put a price tag on. They're so invaluable to you as a designer and to who you become as a designer, because you just constantly aspire for more, and it makes you realize what you want out of the industry, and connections are everything. I mean, every opportunity that I had in this class and every class that I took at FIT to meet another designer or to meet someone that's advanced in the fashion industry, I was constantly going up to those people saying, "Hi, I'm Hilton Hollis. How are you?" You know, introducing myself. And, you know, I've built a very big, you know, repertoire of people that I can turn to. Working for John Bartlett, I'm now being put up for a membership in the CFDA, which Alice had, you know, mentioned earlier. CFDA is the Council of Fashion Designers of America, one of the most prominent industry, you know, clubs in the world, and next to the Chamber de Syndical, it's probably one of the biggest. So anyway, you know, I really think it's important that you guys get out there, pound the pavement, and meet as many people as you can. In '99, I graduated from FIT. I worked for Dana Buchman, which was my first job out of FIT. And with Dana, it was an interesting situation. Like, the first week I was there, they actually fired 17 people. So here I am, right out of FIT. I walk into the situation, and within the first week, they fired 17 pattern makers, production people, and really senior level people. So of course, you know, as someone incoming into this industry, it scared me to death. You know, I'm thinking, wow, like, you know, how can they fire 17 people? Some of the people had been there for 35 years, you know, or 25 years, I should say. So ever since she started her company. So it was a very scary experience, but I ended up staying there for about a year and a half and really learned the ropes from really the ground up. I was doing line sheets every day. It was my first experience with working on a specific computer program, which is very out of date and really isn't used that often anymore. But anyway, it had a lot of issues with the computer systems and was always like kind of feeling down, because here I was coming out of FIT, where it was all about creativity and it was all about making beautiful clothes and experiencing, you know, the fashion industry from a very kind of sheltered view. And here I was being whisked into the situation that was really unique and rather scary. And all I can say is get ready for it, because that is no different than any other company out there. And as a designer or as a merchandiser or marketer, here today, gone tomorrow. You know, there's always someone better, there's always someone brighter, or at least that's what people think. And don't be surprised if your career takes you in a million different paths. But you know what? As a smart individual, you have to be able to make decisions that are going to shape your future. And if you believe in your heart that something is right for you, take the opportunity. I've been very lucky in that I've worked for a lot of great designers throughout my career. Like I said, I worked with Tim Gardner at Calvin Klein. After that, I worked with Dana Buchman, who was the founder of really the bridge area of fashion, which is what I'm in today. And then working with John Bartlett was a brilliant experience. John was a Harvard grad, just a brilliant mind who really grasped the whole idea of conceptual fashion. And it really just made a huge difference in the designer that I've become. Right before September 11th, 2001, I started an evening wear collection. Very high-end evening wear. I garnered a lot of support in the high-end kind of communities of the country, and was doing a lot of private client work. And my gowns ranged from anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 each. Very much in the couture style of the Parisian couturiers, but done in an American way, of course. You can't really use the word haute couture unless you are a member of the Chambre de Syndical, which you should also know. But anyway, I did that for about a year, and then prior to September 11th, I actually opened my first showroom on 36th Street and 7th Avenue. And of course, the events of September 11th kind of changed my whole world right then and there. I had appointments that week. My showroom opened September 10th, 2001. I had appointments with Bergdorf Goodman's, Nordstrom couture buyers, Bloomingdale's, Saks, Neiman Marcus, every major retailer. I had Full Frontal Fashion coming to film the collection. Had spent about $25,000 on getting it all together. And of course, September 11th happened and everything just came to a halt. So again, another obstacle, another thing for a young designer to deal with. But again, I never lost sight of what I wanted to do with my career and the type of designer that I wanted to become. And I think with all those obstacles, you'll see that in your career, you're going to have obstacles come up every single day that will test who you are as a person and test who you are as a person in fashion. And you can't let those things stop you. You just have to keep going. So I actually stopped designing for about 6 months and kind of gathered myself again. I was actually doing makeup freelance, and which I'd never done before, and I kind of winged it as I went. But it was really the only way that I could make money at that point, you know. The fashion industry really came to a halt. Fashion in New York was just, excuse the word, but it was dead. I mean, no jobs. People were getting fired left and right because there was just no way to make money here. And, you know, unfortunately, it changed a lot of people's lives. And, you know, luckily, I was lucky enough that I didn't lose anyone at September 11th, but it did change my life. After experiencing the whole cosmetic world for about 6 months, I just finally got back into it, and I landed a job with a private label company. Not exactly what I wanted to do, but something that I found was interesting and that might teach me something that I didn't already know about the industry and a different kind of price point that I wasn't familiar with. Luckily, I worked with a very intelligent woman from Italy who was head of Gruppo Americano, which was a very well-known company back in the 80s and 90s. And she pretty much just believed in me as a designer and was willing to give me a chance. Although I had, you know, only designed couture dresses, and then John Bartlett's collection, his women's wear collection, and then working with Dana Buchman, it was an opportunity to do something that was a little bit more opening price point in the better area. So I actually did private label for Saks Fifth Avenue. I did private label for Nordstrom, for J. Jill, Chico's. All these places that I really had no idea who that customer was. I mean, other than Saks and Nordstrom, you know, I didn't know who the Chico's woman was, and I didn't really care, to be honest. But it was a way to make money, so I did it. And what a great experience it was. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of times when you guys think, well, you know, what does this company have to offer me? Right now in this industry, if you have a company that's willing to give you a job and you don't have a lot of offers, you should take it because they're hard to come by. And it's a little scary right now because the economy has really put a damper on fashion in general, especially in the United States. Luckily, things are beginning to open up a little bit more. And if you choose a segment of the industry where there's still some opportunities, I think you guys can have a very successful career, and you'll probably find jobs very quickly. You know, but again, presenting yourself in a good way, really understanding what this industry is all about, and digging deep into it, and not going in and being jaded by the whole thing and thinking that every job's pretty where you wear Manolo Blahniks to work and, you know, you wear cute little outfits and you're supposed to just walk around and be fashionista all day long. That just doesn't exist anymore. And those of you who think that that's what you want to do, then good luck, because I don't know anybody that exists like that anymore. And, you know, I'm here to tell you the real side of it. And, you know, you probably have had designers come in that are definitely more advanced than me, and they might show you a pretty picture of it. But the stark reality is, unless you're truly driven and truly in your heart that you know this is what you want to do, then I suggest you get out of it. because there's no room for people that aren't driven and totally dedicated to it. And that's really what I'm about as a designer. I've gone through these obstacles in life and these things that have really just kind of come out of the blue. I mean, September 11th, who in the world knew that was going to happen? I've been in business, out of business. I've had financial backers pull out at the last minute, saying I'm depending on them for $30,000 a month and overhead expenses, and all of a sudden, boom, they're out of the picture. Those are some harsh realities that you have to face as a designer and as someone in fashion. And unless you're dedicated, you won't make it. Anyway, better things. In June 2005, I started a sportswear company under the same name, Hilton Hollis. And we started the collection with 35 pieces. I had a financial backer give me $50,000 to start the company. And, today we're in about 90 stores in the United States and Canada, and we're actually branching out into Europe and Asia as well. We have one store in Hong Kong right now, and we're in Neiman Marcus. So it's been a crazy, crazy ride, but a ride that I would not trade for the world. We started in June 2005. We had 12 stores. We produced 35 pieces for the collection. Now we're doing, and we had 3 deliveries for our first collection, which was spring 2006. Now we have 10 months of product. We do 10 deliveries per year, including a resort and holiday collection. And we are in 5 Neiman Marcus stores. We're in 15 Neiman Marcus last calls as of about a week ago. And we're talking to Lord & Taylor. We have Bergdorf's on the appointment schedule for next week. We're talking to Saks. And all of those things happen because I've surrounded myself with really, really good people that share the same vision that I have, which is to produce a beautiful product out of gorgeous fabrics at a somewhat competitive price and really give a designer look at a bridge price point. And, it's an area of the market that is kind of untapped. The fashion industry is saturated with people who are doing contemporary, very young, 25 to 35-year-old clothing. And unless your clothing is so special that it stands out above the rest, then you might get pushed to the wayside if you decide to do something like that, because I just think it's totally saturated. If you go into any store in New York and, even outside of New York, think about all the stores out there. I mean, New York is only this big in comparison to the rest of the United States and even North America. And you look at who the people are that are buying clothes and spending a good deal of money on clothes every month. These are the 35 to 65-year-old women who make $250,000 or more a year of combined income on their homes. And they're usually the baby boomers. They're the women who have a sophisticated lifestyle, who constantly go to parties. They're constantly in the social scene. And those are the women that I cater to. If I can say anything about myself as a designer, I know exactly who I dress. I know her to the T. I know exactly what she wants to wear. I know where she's wearing it. And I know pretty much everything about her lifestyle, I like to think. And that's another part of being a good designer, or being a good marketer or advertiser or merchandiser, is to understand who you're dressing. Understand who your customer is. Get out there. If you go into a store where the product or the type of product that you want to cater to is carried, talk to people, go up to people, say, hey, what are you looking for today? Or what are you wearing? Find out who they are and what their lifestyle is all about. Because as a designer, I've worked for designers, freelance worked for designers, and none of the names that I mentioned earlier. I want to differentiate between that. I've done some freelance work with some higher end designers that are so removed from who their customer really is. They think that their customers are these 25, 35-year-old waif-looking models that it's not the reality. I mean, you go into the stores, and the women that are buying the clothes are in their 50s, 60s, and they're buying their suitings, they're buying this, that, and the other. But as a designer, the only thing that you have going for you is your talent and what you know about your customer. So I really think the most important part of what you can do as a merchandiser or marketer, designer is to go out into the stores and see the type of people that are buying the clothes and really understand who they are. Things that we have planned for the future, there's a lot. I mean, we have the plans for a diffusion line. I've already branded the name H. Hollis as our diffusion collection, and we're already in copyright trademark court with that, and like getting everything finalized. We have some people that are basically kind of coming against us saying that they have a similar brand. We're actually in court fighting that. So there's all these things that you have to do to like get to where you want to be. And another thing I can say as a designer, if you plan on having your own collection, definitely find a good attorney. And the thing is like as a designer, we're sometimes a little jaded, and we're sometimes a little bit not focused on what the business aspect of things are. And I could have been the world's worst. I came in thinking, fashion's all about pretty clothes and making everyone feel good and look good, and it's not what it's all about. I mean, there's so much business that goes into it. I can't even tell you. As a business owner and as a designer, I focus probably, if I had to break it down, I would say 50% of what I do is PR and marketing. I would say 20% is designing, another 20% is hardcore sales, and is that 10% that I'm missing? 10%, I'm not very good at math either. 10% would probably be, I guess like getting out in public and like talking to people like you guys, and really educating young designers about what goes on in the industry. Because I do this a lot with different schools around the country, and it's always good to come back to FIT though. I mean, you guys do have a handle on what's going on, and at least you're in a school where the professors are in the industry. They can give you some background and they can give you some knowledge that many other schools don't have the opportunity to learn. So while you're here, pick everybody's brain around you. Your professors might seem, a little old school. I've heard that a million times, but you know what? They're not. The fashion industry changes every day, but there's the basics in the background of it that never change. So pick their brains for all that they know. I think I'm going to open it up to questions. Hopefully you guys have some good ones for me. Anyone? Yeah, we can show the video first if you want. Is the video ready? Can we cue the video? It's not working. Okay, no video. No video. Go to my website, hiltonhollis.com. It must not be working. It was working earlier, but I guess not anymore. Okay, so question time. Yeah. It's not very easy, I'll tell you that. My first financial backer was a guy who actually sold me fabrics. When I was working for Dana Buckman, I met this guy named Ted Glenn, and he has a company called Glenn International. And he basically supplies fabrics for the Better, the Bridge, and the designer industries, or segments of the industry. And, I think it's all about people skills, number one. Like, with me, I try to be as nice and as friendly to as many people as I meet. Never burn bridges, because let me tell you, I've learned through some experience that I don't care who it is, where you meet them, you might need them one day. Tell you a little bit of an experience that I had. When I was here at FIT, I actually did flowers on the side, because I had done that back in Mississippi when I was a teenager. And I was working for a company just right around in this area, actually, and I won't name names, but the owner of the company, who I didn't really get along with that well, she ended up being best friends with Andre Leon Talley, the editor-at-large at Vogue. Needless to say, I can't call her and say, hey, could you give me an introduction? Because I kind of burned that bridge real fast. So that was a big learning experience for me. And in this industry, New York is so small. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I end up working for the same people in some way. I just had one of my ex-bosses actually just worked for me for the coterie down at the Javits Center. So it's a very small world, and never talk crap behind people's back if you don't want somebody else to find out about it. Because like I said, this industry is so small, and you will burn a bridge and you'll regret it. So back to what you were asking. I actually bought fabrics from this guy, and we kind of joked around about it. Oh, why don't we start a collection? You can use my fabrics, and you can use your design talent to actually put together something. Well, I was actually working for a company doing private label for the Reba McEntire collection for Dillard's. It was about a $17.5 million project that I took on, and I did it for about a year and a half. And working for a celebrity was a lot of fun. There was a lot of perks to it. But it just wasn't exactly what I wanted to be doing. So I actually said to Ted one day, I said, Ted, I'm like, how we're always joking around about starting a company together? What do you think about it? Is it something you would actually entertain doing? And he said to me, well, I mean, how much money would you need to start it up? And I said, $150,000. He was like, I don't know about that. He said, really, like, how much would you need to do bare bones, like what you need, and, without paying yourself? I mean, a lot of people go in. I just met with a designer like 2 weeks ago, and he had all these big plans. He was like, oh, I'm going to get a financial backer, and I'm going to get a new penthouse. He was like looking at real estate and stuff, and I'm like, dude, you don't even have a company. Like, you're going to use the money that the guy's going to give you to, like, buy a penthouse? I'm like, not very smart. Because let me tell you, $50,000, $150,000, $250,000 gets you nowhere. Unless the product is right, forget it. Like, you have to be so focused on what it is that you're trying to achieve, and you have to have a very firm merchandising plan, and you have to have very solid pieces to start building a company with that kind of money. And I mean, here I am. I've got millions of dollars in investments, and it's still not enough. I mean, as we grow, it's amazing how much money you have to actually produce a collection every season, because as you grow, so does the collection. We started off with 35 pieces. Now every single delivery has like 65 SKUs. So you're talking 250, 300-piece collection. And then the sad thing is you have to show them that much, because all they're going to buy is maybe 60% of it, which is also kind of sad, because you're spending all this money on development and you're putting all this time and energy into it. But really, when it's all said and done, you probably produce about 60% of what you're going to show. So, $50,000 in investment was our first big chunk of money that we got. That really took me about 3 months to spend. I mean, we produced a collection that was, what I considered bare bones. We did a little bit of marketing. I did a photo shoot. Luckily, again, my best friend and his partner one's a photographer, the other's an art director. So I was able to use their talent. And I have a friend that's a stylist, so he did all the styling for it. And I have a couple friends that are in makeup and hair. And, we all got together and put this thing together. And luckily, it worked. It stuck. 35 pieces, I probably produced like 60% of it. And we got 12 stores. But you know what? It retailed. So, I mean, to produce a collection is great. But what happens when it gets to the floor? Does it fit? Does it serve a purpose? And is it going to have a good sell-through? And those are the things that you really have to think about. I mean, yeah, I love designing beautiful clothes, and I love designing clothes that I think are, really cutting edge, and things that I think that that I would like to see a woman wear. But put yourself in the situation where you're your customer and understand who that woman is and what she's looking for. Because if you don't do that, you can spend a lot of money and go nowhere. And, this industry is all about talent, but it's also about having a good business sense. I mean, for those of you who don't have a good business sense, or you don't think you do, then that's why I say you should be taking some business classes, take some marketing classes. Also, surround yourself with the right people. You know, in this industry, you're going to meet tons and tons of people. You're going to work with great people who you respect and who respect you as a designer or as a merchandiser or marketer. And attach to those people. Don't let them out of your sight. You know, stay friends with them. Stay, you know, close to them, because those people can help you along the way. And you know, it's a win-win situation. You're going to give them something, they're going to give you something. And those are the kind of opportunities that you don't want to pass by. So when I tell you that I met this person because he was selling us fabric, or selling me fabric, you know, take those people and think, you know, you're going to need these people throughout your career. These kind of people don't go anywhere. Like, the same people that I was buying fabric from 10 years ago, I'm still buying fabric from them. The same people that rep a line today are going to rep them probably 10 years from now. And these mills in Italy and the mills in Europe that have been around for 150 years, they stay true to who, you know, they do business with. And, you know, building those kind of relationships really has helped me and my company grow to the point where we are today. I mean, most mills out of Italy won't even think about doing an order unless you at least give them 100, 150 yards. I have mills that will give me a roll of fabric, which is 50 yards of fabric. And it's because of the relationships that I built with them. And, you know, those are the kind of opportunities that you want to take advantage of. And, you know, those are the kind of people that you can go to in 3 or 4 years after you've worked a little bit in the industry and gotten some experience and want to put together a line. A lot of times, those are the kind of people that will support you, and you need those people in your life. The other thing is just having a really firm and solid business plan. And doing a business plan is very time intensive. It's a lot of work. And, you know, if you have somebody that's around you that's really good at it, then you guys should definitely have that person help you. There's a lot of opportunities out there for different seminars and even classes here at FIT. I know that work on business plans, but there's a group called the SCORE group, and that's a group for small businesses. And I actually go to a lot of their seminars, and it's been a huge help for me. It's part of the Small Business Administration, and those are just great opportunities to take. And also, they have a resource center, I think, on 34th Street, and they have a lot of different things there that will help you kind of develop your business plan and get you to where you need to be. Yeah. Like SCORE, SCORE. Yeah. For me, what I look for more than anything is just the way you present yourself, and the personality goes a long way. I mean, be outgoing and be talkative and you know, be yourself above all. But, you know, as a designer, I also look for people that are very neat and very professional when they come in to work. I have a few interns that are a little messy, and I kind of get on them all the time. But, you know, in a big company, that it just won't be tolerated, you know? Like, the way you present yourself and the way you keep your desk and the way you kind of present yourself on a daily basis is a huge part, and it reflects so big on who you are and the type of work aesthetic that you have. You know, one of the things that I've always said from the very beginning, I might only have like a $50,000 budget to start my company with, and I might not have any money in the bank that's, you know, part of my designer fund, but no one will ever think less than that I'm a $10 million company. And if you go in with that attitude, you'll be amazed with the respect and the feedback that you get. I mean, you can't, you know, presenting yourself in a professional, positive, clean, precise way is everything. I see portfolios every single day. The ones that stand out the most to me might not be the best sketches, but they're the ones that are presented in a professional way and that are very clean and precise. And, you know, a frayed edge on a portfolio is a killer. I'm like, no, it doesn't work. Or tape showing through a swatch. Like, those kind of things are just, they're meaningless. Like, you don't want those sorts of things to be what a designer remembers about you. You know, you want everything to be perfect and precise. So, you know, present yourself in a way that's true to who you are, but at the same time, remember that, you know, designers are where they are for a reason, and usually it's because of their professionalism and because of their drive and their determination. So they're going to be looking for people to support them that are equally as polished and professional as they are. Yes. In the blue sweatshirt, yeah. See, I totally disagree with that, and I'm sure some people will fight me on it, but I've worked in every single segment out there. And, you know, if you can live in New York and you can afford not to take a job, then don't. But, I mean, for me, I didn't have a choice. So, like, I took a job. I mean, and I had a few offers, but one was, you know, researching buttons for a very, very, very well-known designer for $16,000 a year. I was like, I can't even get 4 roommates and live on $16,000 a year. So it just wasn't possible. And then, you know, I got this position with Dana Buchman, who probably wasn't my first choice, but the money was good. I knew it was a very solid, stable company, part of Liz Claiborne, which is a huge conglomerate, you know, a multi-billion-dollar company. I think if you're a talented designer, you can find ways to make things work for your advantage. You know, who cares if you're working for a lower-end brand? Doesn't mean that every night you can't go home and sketch beautiful clothes that are expensive and go research fabrics that are expensive and do the things on the side that you want to do to make you get to where you want to be. You know, if I had that as an overlying thing for my career, I'd probably be designing for Chico's, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's designers out there. Let me tell you, you can get paid $250,000 a year working for Target, or you can work for Ralph Lauren and get $30,000 a year. I mean, it's, you know, there's a lot of different opportunities out there, but you have to pick and choose the ones that you're willing to do. But right now, I just see that, I mean, this industry is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. My building that I'm in on 39th Street between 7th and 8th, Anna Swee's in our building, Pamela Dennis is in our building. 60% of the building is vacant. And why? Because the industry is getting smaller. The economy has put so many people out of business. So job opportunities are hard to come by, but if you're talented and you believe in yourself, then you'll find a job. And, you know, I don't think that that's such a bad thing. Yes. Right. I mean, I personally think that internships, it is always good to work for a big name. When you're here at FIT, you have the opportunities to get some really well-known people to work for. I mean, there's so many graduates who, you know, Calvin graduated from here, Michael Kors. Those are always good to have on your resume. Your first job, I would love it if every single one of you could work for a small designer like myself. But you're right. Like, we can only hire a certain number of people. You know, but to work for someone like me, I guarantee you'll learn more in a year of working for me than you would at a big brand. And that goes, I think, regardless of who the designer is. You know, my experience with John Bartlett was fantastic. I was doing just contract work for him. I wasn't on, like, full-time staff. But anything like that you can do, even if you just go, like, if you're looking for a job and you're not having any luck, go and, like, give your services to someone for free. I mean, because those are the kind of opportunities. I had an intern from here at FIT who came to me, and she started working for me for free. I've now hired her, I pay her, a daily kind of allowance or whatever. She's not on my full-time staff, but for what I can offer her, she's very, very happy because otherwise she wouldn't be working at all. And, we're both getting a great return on what we're doing because she's learning so much from me and from my staff. I have 5 people that work for me. I have a president of sales. She was with Laundry by Shelley Siegel for about 6 years doing the sportswear brand. And then I have a designer that I got out of Philadelphia who was working for Mother's Works. And that's an opportunity. That's a perfect example of someone who really wasn't the kind of designer that I was looking for, but had the personality and had the portfolio that I was looking for. Because if you look at someone that, was designing maternity wear, you think, well, can she design regular clothes? I mean, is that something that she can do? And I saw something in her and her portfolio that really made me want to hire her and want to work with her. She's been with me for 4.5 years, ever since I started the company. She came 6 months later. I think starting with a young designer is the way to go, because if you want to help build a brand and you want to be part of something that's different and unique and something that's not being done in the industry, then work for a young designer. Those are the perfect opportunities to kind of get out there and see every single segment of what they do and really learn a lot of different things in the industry all at once. Other questions? Anyone else? Oh. Yeah, my customers anywhere from 35 to 55, and yeah, I have the ones that are 85, and you're thinking, wow, like these women still dress up every day, but they do, and they have tons of money, so I'll dress them. You have an MX, I have the time. We have everyone. My clothes are carried in Tootsie's, which is a really well-known store in the Southeast. They have a location in Atlanta, one in Houston, and one in Dallas. They carry everything from Diane von Furstenberg to Millie. I would say I'm definitely more of their higher end, more of their mature customer. And when I say mature, I have customers that are 25 that wear my pieces. They just don't dress the same. We're carried in Neiman Marcus. We're right next to Valentino Red and next to Burberry. So it's the same customer. It's just the way you wear it. My sister, who's 40, she's hip, she's cool, she's a size 0, she's got 2 kids, she lives in Atlanta. She drives her little Mercedes SUV to school every morning, drops the kids off. But she wears our stuff with jeans, The social networking aspect of what I do is very important because I've had situations happen where I might be doing an appearance at Tootsie's in Atlanta, and I'll post it on my Facebook fan page, and it just gives the customers another opportunity to know what I'm up to. I also feel like right now is a perfect opportunity for us to kind of put ourselves out there and for customers to know who we are as a designer and to kind of get a slice of who we are as a person. And I think that that's the way kind of the future looks for me. Designers that are not reachable and they're not real, customers don't care about that anymore. You might have beautiful clothes, but they want to know who you are. They want to know who you are, what you do, what your lifestyle's about. And by social networking, it's the perfect opportunity to say, today I'm gonna be in a store in Atlanta, and I'm stuck on the runway at JFK, going to Paris or wherever. They love that stuff. And they'll write me, I have customers from all across the country that'll write me emails and say, oh, I heard that you were going to be in Atlanta, in 2 weeks. I'm going to make a special trip there to see you, and they're in Columbus, Georgia, which is like an hour and 30 minutes away. But those are the kind of things that you can really build a brand and build identity for your brand. And if you can let them into who you are as a person, let me tell you, they can be standing on the floor at Neiman Marcus and they can have an opportunity to either buy Valentino or Hilton Hollis. Well, they know Hilton Hollis, they're going to buy Hilton Hollis. There's no question. because they know who I am, they know what I'm about, they know what I stand for, and those are the kind of things that social networking are perfect for. Also, just putting out like new snapshots of your collection. Like during Fashion Week, I had a casting for our upcoming photo shoot, and every time a model would come in, I'd take a quick snapshot of her, and a few of them I posted on our Facebook page and on our Twitter page, and I already have people that are like calling me saying, "Wow, I love that, that jacket that you put on. Can I go ahead and order one?" So those are the kind of things that you just can't put a price tag on, and marketing and PR are so hugely important in what we do, and as a brand that's constantly developing and constantly getting new customers. Of course, you want to be on the cutting edge of technology. We have a very interactive kind of video system on our website that gives a little bit of behind the scenes kind of look at one of our photo shoots that we did. Again, through Twitter and Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on a Small World. I'm on every single social networking site out there. So you guys should be doing the same thing. And, put yourself out there as a put-together, advanced designer. You don't want to come across as just being a student. And there's nothing wrong with that, but stand for something, Stand for who you want to be and who you want to become. And if you don't feel like you're there yet, then you will be. So always present yourself in that way. Yes. Yeah, the thing is like I said, a lot of it has to do with the type of personality and being, very forthcoming with what you want out of a company. I've been put in situations where I knew that I wouldn't advance any further, and you kind of have to make some tough decisions. Do you want to work for someone where you know that you're going to be pushing paper for the next 3 years? And then at the same time, you have to be very assertive. And yes, designers are always busy, but usually designers' assistants and designers, the people that surround the designers, are usually the ones that you really want to kind of talk to and see where their mindset is. And I think if you're offering something unique and something that they can't get elsewhere, then there's always room for advancement. And don't expect it to happen overnight. I think that's one of the things, honestly, that I thought in the beginning is I had a lot of opportunities here at FIT. I did like a design project and got involved with a show in Italy, and I did a show in Spain, and I did a show in down in Brazil, and I was constantly like look at my stuff, like here it is, like always like entering every design competition I could find, like always really, really involved. And then to get out in the industry and to realize that for a year or two, I probably wasn't going to be designing anything. It was kind of a slap in the face. And now that I look back on it, that was probably the most invaluable information that I've ever gotten. The same way that we did our line sheets at Dana Buckman is exactly how I do mine today. And, I used to do all the fit comments from the fittings, and I used to give all the design development comments. And for me, it was just a bunch of typing and looking at a computer all day, but now I realize how important that kind of stuff was. And yeah, it's always nice if you can work for a big designer, but at the same time, if you're working for a huge company, like someone said, you're going to be running to get coffee, you're going to be doing this and that. All those things are important. As long as you're working for somebody that respects you, I hear horror stories about designers that aren't very nice to work for and that throw staplers across the room and kind of crazy stuff. You don't have to put up with that. I don't care who you are. I wouldn't work for you. Yeah, anyone else? So everybody join my Facebook fan page. Hilton Hollis. Thanks.